Getting oil by the grace of Almighty Allah. Welcome to another day of learning. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Every day is a good day. There is something to learn new. Welcome to our Institution of Global Professional webinar. Thank you all for joining with us in this wonderful session. My lovely audience, today I am your host. I am Kamrul, coordinator of IGP from Bangladesh. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. And I feel honored to host this webinar, and it's my delight to welcome you all to our Institution of Global Professional Fee International webinar. Dear participants, before we have completed our 761 webinars successfully, now I will be presenting webinar number 762, and the topic is Beyond ICT, integrating basic coding in non-ICT subject. Before starting the program, I request everyone to share this webinar in your newsfeed and social media. And don't forget to mention your friends in the comment box. And time to time, you like our Facebook page and subscribe our YouTube channel. Today we have a speaker from Philippines. Today our speaker name is Sarah Jen Sanclaria Cruz. She is a college instructor, College of Education staff, and Office of the Vice President for Research and Extension Services from Regional Technological University. Let's welcome our speaker to the screen. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, wherever you are. Here in the Philippines, it's still in the afternoon, so 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So, a pleasant day to everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Share your slide, please.
Okay, so I'll just share my slide. Thank you so much for the introduction also. While I am sharing my slide, I just want to reiterate, I am instructor Sarah Jane Sanclaria Cruz from Rizal Technological University.
Thank you, ma'am. You
Okay.
can start your presentation now.
Okay, thank you so much. So for today, I would be discussing this topic, Beyond ICT, integrating basic programming in non-ICT subjects. So the focus of our topic would be mostly, of course, on how we can, as teachers, I presume we are all teachers here because our topic is on teaching pedagogy. So it focused more on how we can integrate basic coding skills even though we are not computer teachers or we are not teaching ICT. Okay, but before we start, I would like to know you and what you are doing in your different schools or in your universities or colleges. I would like to know what subject you are teaching. So we have here a link to our poll everywhere or a link to a poll. I would like you to answer by accessing paulev.com/wisegift830. So I believe the link will also be posted in our YouTube channel and Facebook. Okay, so that's paulev.com/wisegift830. Okay. And then while you're answering that one, let me just share another slide. Okay, so we can see here some answers already. So we have here math teachers. Okay, we also have digital arts teachers, science teachers, arts teachers, English as a second language teachers, and AP teachers. AP teachers, I presume that you are from the Philippines because AP in the Philippines means Araling Panlipunan or social studies. Okay, so let's wait for a few more people to answer our poll. Okay, we also have values teachers and EPP, EPP teachers. EPP is edukasyon sa um, I'm so sorry, I forgot the double P. But I think that's also for just like values teacher, values education. Okay. Okay, for our Facebook users or those who are watching on Facebook, it will be posted in our page or live streaming. Or you can also type in your browser Paul POLLEV.com/wisegift830. Okay. Edukasyon, pantahanan, pangkabuhayan. Okay, it's like TLE. It's like livelihood education. Technological livelihood education. So, I assume you're also from the Philippines. Okay, thank you so much for your answers. Okay, so what else? So mostly we have here mathematics teachers. Okay, very good. English teachers also, science teachers, values education, social studies, digital arts. Okay, so thank you so much for answering our first question for today. Okay, so I just want to know you so that I can connect our discussion for today to the context of your subjects, different subjects. Okay, so thank you so much for answering. Now I'll stop sharing this screen and let's go back to my slide. Okay, okay. So for today's discussion, we will be guided by the following questions. So, at the end of the webinar, the attendees or you will be able to know the answer to the following questions. So, these are our target questions for today. So, number one, how important is knowing basic programming? The second one is what are the online and offline applications that we can use in our classrooms? And number three, um, how can we use these applications and integrate it in our lesson? So, our goal is to be able to know the different tools, to be able to know what's happening around us in the industry today, and why do we need to know basic programming or teach it to our students even at an early age. And number three, how we can integrate these two philosophies, these two subjects, these two topics in our lesson. Okay, so with that, let's start our discussion. Now, as we have recently observed and experienced, the world is changing, and congruently, the world of work is developing and shifting to a new paradigm. And this shift came in even earlier than expected because of the pandemic COVID 19. Now, in this new industry, some jobs will be lost and many others will be created. Almost everything will change. Artificial intelligence, automation, and robotics will make this shift as significant as the mechanization in prior generations. Now, a quick backgrounder to the different industries that we had and we are in right now. So, from the first industrial revolution, with the introduction of mechanization, steam engine, and water power engines, to the second industrial revolution with the emergence of mass production and electricity, to the third industrial revolution with the coming of electronics, IT systems, and automation, the world of work has now entered or has now shifted to the fourth industrial revolution, which have been dominantly brought by the cyber physical system of things. But recently, there are some experts who are claiming that we are now in the fifth industrial revolution since 2020. Okay, but currently, others are still saying that we are just still entering the fifth industrial revolution. But to give you an insight about the fifth industrial revolution, this one talks more about the connection of humans to technology. And in between, there is artificial intelligence. Now, going back with the fourth industrial revolution, it was during the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, that Klaus Schwab, 2016, founder and executive chairman of the aforementioned forum, announced to the world that these technological changes and advancements that we are currently experiencing is the fruit of the fourth industrial revolution. The Fourth Industrial Revolution, or the 4IR, is a new chapter in the human development wherein it dramatically changes the way humans live, work, think, decide, and interact with each other. Now, coming in with augmented realities, artificial intelligences, genetic engineering, quantum computing, the Internet of Things or IoTs, and other fast changing technologies, Klaus Schwab, 2016, pointed out that the upheaval in the economic and political scene is a byproduct of these forces that drives the fourth industrial revolution. Now, in the context of the Philippines, because I'm from the Philippines, in the Philippine local scenario, we have tangibly felt and experienced the coming of the fourth industrial revolution during the advent of online navigation applications, transport network vehicle services, and of course, our favorite online shopping platforms. And we also have the most recent self order kiosk in our renowned fast food restaurants. Now, from here, we can see or we can observe that slowly industries in the Philippines are also adapting to the technological changes that are happening globally. But what would be the implications of these changes to the world that we know? Now, in a working paper by Chang and Yun 2016 for the International Labor Organization, they have forewarned that approximately 56% of all employment in the ASEAN 5, Cambodia, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, those other partners that we had with the IGP, is at high risk of work displacement because of the advancement of technology and automation. Now, based on the same report by Chang and Yu, 447,000 sewing machine operators in Cambodia are at high risk of displacement. Same with the 1.7 million office clerks in Indonesia, 2.2 million shop and salespersons and administrators in the Philippines, 624,000 food service counter attendants in Thailand, and 769,000 sewing machine operators in Vietnam. On the other hand, this is very sad to see. This graph is very heartbreaking to see. But behind this, or the opposite of this, of course, there are still jobs that are expected to flourish in this workplace of tomorrow, according to Kelly 2021 in an article at the Forbes Careers entitled The 30 Fastest Growing Jobs and Careers for the Next 10 Years. Now, I would like to ask you, before I reveal the top three jobs according to the Forbes list, I would like to hear your thoughts. What do you think would be the top three in demand jobs in the next 10 years? Okay, so going back to your paulev.com/wisegift830, same link. I would like you, okay, I'll just deactivate, okay, the first one, and I'll activate the second one. Okay, I would like you to answer the question, what would be the top three in demand jobs in the next 10 years? Okay, so same link. You can use the same link. Okay, so that's again paulev.com/wisegift830. Okay, so I'll stop sharing this screen and go to another screen. Okay, so I can see answers here already. Thank you so much. Okay, so we can see here a very big answer. So that one is teacher. Here we also have analyst or data analyst, artist, vlogger, nurses, okay, programmers, um, digital digital artists perhaps, um, okay, mostly programmer, computer, ICT, teachers, okay, scientists, data scientists, okay, nurses, okay, data analyst also. Okay, so what else? So what jobs do you think will be in demand in the next few years or in the next 10 years? Okay, so we have here the biggest word. We have teacher, data analyst, and programming or programmers, perhaps. Okay, so those are the top three according to our audience. But we also have some answers here: data scientist, ICT, digital artist, computer programmer, nurses, vloggers, right? Software engineer. Okay, so from here I can see that most of your answers are also geared towards with the use of technology or computers. Okay, except for of course the teacher and the nurses. Okay. Okay, so thank you so much. I can see from here that we are really thinking about, yeah, what would be the next uh, top or in demand jobs in the next 10 years. Okay, so thank you for your answers. I'll stop sharing and go back to my presentation. Okay, now to reveal the top three in demand jobs in the next 10 years, this is according to the to Forbes careers, according to Kelly, written last 2021. So according to Kelly, top one would be physician assistants, then top two would be the nurse practitioners. Okay, so this is like not surprising because of the pandemic, of course. It had instilled in us that we really need to um, take a good take good care of our medical industry, those practitioners in the medical industries. So there would be really a big boom in hiring of physician assistants, nurse practitioners. But for number three, that the one and two is connected to each other, related to each other. But for number three, it's quite different. So the third one would be the software developers and software quality assurance analysts and testers. And they will be incurring or they can get as much as $110,140 as a monthly salary. Okay, so imagine that one. So they would be one of the top three in demand jobs in the next 10 years. Now, with this, we can see from here that with the changing world order due to the advent of the fourth industrial revolution, the world of work is changing and the demand for types of jobs are also changing. But how are we responding to it? So how are we as teachers responding to it? So our students right now would be these people in the workplace 10 years, 10 years from now. Okay, so how are we responding to it? How are our different educational sectors taking these findings as the school of learning that molds the future workforce? So, as teachers, we need to prepare our students for the jobs of the future. At an early age, we need to equip them with skills and competencies that they would need in order to succeed in this fast changing world, which is mainly dominated by advanced technologies. And for today, we would focus on one of the skills that our students of today should know, which is programming. But can I really do this as an English teacher, or as a social studies teacher, or as a mathematics teacher? How can I do this? So, even as non ICT subject teachers, we need to expose our students to the basics of programming, and the earlier, the better. We can integrate in educational tools that can introduce to our students the rudiments of programming, and this would be the focus of our seminar for today. Now, how can we do this as a non-ICT teacher? How can we apply this in our subjects? And what are the basic programming tools and applications that we can use online and offline? Now, initially, I would be presenting to you my top three programming applications, which are Lightbot, Codable, and MBlock. Okay, so these are actually just basic applications, and this is assuming that our students are beginners when it comes to coding or programming. Okay, so these are the most basic tools that we can integrate in our lessons. Now, Lightbot is an educational video game for learning software programming concepts. Now, it is available as an online flash game and an application for Android and iOS mobile phones. But because we don't really have any flash player anymore, but still, it's still accessible through Android and iOS mobile phones as an application, mobile application. Okay, so aside from Lightbot, we also have Codable. So Codable is an all-in-one programming curriculum for elementary schools, and it provides an engaging game paired with a full curriculum that takes students from learning to think like a programmer in kindergarten to writing real JavaScript by fifth grade. Okay, so that's Codable. And lastly, we have MBlock. MBlock is actually my favorite. So MBlock is a STEAM programming software tool designed for programming for kids. Now, it is developed based on Scratch 3.0 and Arduino code. So it supports block-based and text-based programming languages. Okay. So now that we know, or now that I have presented to you my top three applications, I will be giving you a walkthrough on the interface of each applications and a sample tutorial on some activities that you can do and integrate in your different subject areas. Okay, so first up, we have Lightbot. Please do inform me if you cannot hear the audio. So this is Lightbot. And as mentioned a while ago, this is available as an application for Android and iOS phones. Likewise, this is available online as a flash game. Right now, I am screen recording the application from my browser. So let's start by clicking play. As you can see, this clearly looks like a game with different stages. By using Lightbot, we can gamify our lessons, making it more fun and interactive to our students. Now let's try a level. So we have different levels, and as we go along the game, the levels would be unlocked. So let's try level 1. At the beginning of the game, instructions and commands would be given by Lightbot. These are the set of rules or goals to accomplish the level. So in here, in level 1, the end goal is to light the blue tiles. Then there are different commands. In here, the arrow command can make Lightbot walk forward. The light command tells Lightbot to light up the tile. So the tiles for the commands can be seen at the bottom of the screen. For this level, we need to make Lightbot walk forward 2 times and light up the tile. And there, we passed the first level. Now to the second level. More commands now appear in the next level, making it more challenging for the kids. In here, we need Lightbot to go to the end point by giving him the move forward and turn commands. So let's try. As you can see, there seems to be something wrong with the commands. Just click the set tiles in the command area and let's do it again. Let's see if this one would work. Okay, so that's how you do it. With Lightbot, this game is actually a puzzle game based on coding. Secretly, by playing the game, it teaches us or our students programming logic as they play. And in here, there, they will learn sequencing, overloading, procedures, recursive loops, and also conditionals. So it's a tile-based programming game for the students to be introduced to the basics of programming. Okay, so that's Lightbot, and actually, this one is the very basic type of application that you can use and integrate inside your classroom, integrate in your activities, classroom activities for your students. Now, in here, it kind of looks like a game, just a game, but just like what I've said from the video, it secretly teaches us principles of basic programming. So I have here an example. These are I have here some competencies and activity, sample activity. Now, the competencies here came from the Philippines Department of Education's curriculum guide. Okay, so assuming that we are targeting the following competencies, follow 1 to 2 step directions, give 1 to 2 step directions, use action words to give simple 2 to 3 step directions, and use action words when narrating simple experiences and when giving simple 3 to 5 steps directions using signal words, for example, first, second, next, etc. Okay, for assuming that we are targeting these competencies, the teacher can give a sample activity like this. For example, the teacher can ask the students to choose a level in the Lightbot game and write down the commands or directions given for Lightbot to be able to do the task. Now, in their writing down of the commands, they need to use the signal words in giving their directions. Okay, so from here, it's like hitting two birds with one stone. They have learned the subject, and at the same time, they were exposed to basic programming skills and principles. Okay, so that is Lightbot. Now, this time, let's go to Codable. Now, welcome to Codable. As you can see in here, each user has their own dashboard. For me, I have already logged in, so you can see my name here. And in our dashboard, you can see here our classes. We can add students, and at the same time, there is a lesson library. In here, a collection of tutorials and lessons teaching students the basics of programming. There's introduction to coding, sequencing, and other topics. There are also set of video lessons, and you would see here assignments. So there are pre-made assignments per level. There are assignments for sequencing, there are also for conditionals, the loops, and the different functions. Now let's try the student's view. So this is where we are going to start playing. Here's our students and how they would see it, the platform in their own accounts. So let's try a very basic activity. So for example, your subject is English and your topic is adjectives. Do an activity for this using Builder. In here, we will ask our students to design their own fuzz. So let's try this one. As you can see, in here, step by step, Codable is guiding us on what to do. For beginners, this is very helpful. So for example, the class or name of our fuzz would be Sag. And in here, as you can see, there are scripts. Now, the children would be curious about the meaning of these scripts, and they would ask, what is this for? Or how to use it? Now, with this, we make our students aware of coding symbols. But since we are still at the basic level, we also have different command tiles at the bottom of the page. So let's design the body of our fuzz. Then we can choose from a collection of designs from here. For me, I would choose panda. For the eyes, I would choose goofy. For the mouth, let's do a side smile. And then let us add an item. For me, I would add glasses. Also try to add a hat. For me, I choose a top hat. Okay, so now we have our fuzz. So as stated a while ago, we can use this platform for activities such as adjectives, as easy as designing their own fuzz, and a show and tell activity. Our students can share to their classes their creation, or to their classmates their creation, and describe the physical features of their fuzz. Okay, so that is codable. So as easy as that one, you can integrate it in an English subject per se. So in this activity, the competencies for that one, target competencies are identifying and using adjectives in sentences and composing clear and coherent sentences using appropriate kinds of adjectives. Now, assuming that we are targeting those two competencies for um, mother tongue grade 2, the teacher can give an instruction wherein the student will be asked to create their own fuzz using the fuzz builder and then introduce to the class their created fuzz and present it using adjectives in their sentences. Okay, so that is codable. But this is the most basic use of codable. There are also a lot of different in their curriculum. You have seen the dashboard, so there are a lot of different lessons and different use for codable per grade level depending on the knowledge of the student in programming. Okay, so that is a very nice platform for us to use. But just a disclaimer though, there is a free version once you just sign up, but there are some parts wherein you need to upgrade to uh, a paid account. Okay, but still you can use the codable uh, with just free version. Okay, so thank you. That is codable. Now this time, okay, this one's my favorite. This is mblock. Okay, so in here, mblock will be in this walkthrough. I will be showing you how you can use mblock in creating animated stories. This time, welcome to mblock. If you're familiar with Scratch, You can observe that this interface kind of look like Scratch. Likewise, it looks like the interface of Microbit. So in here, we have different parts, and this part is what you call the block categories. We have different categories. We have the looks, sound, events, control, sensing, operators, variables, and my blocks. So other categories are more advanced, but for us today, we would be using looks, sounds, events, and controls. On the other hand, this part is what you call the block palette. And these items, we all these are called blocks. And then this area is the empty area is what we call the script area. So this is where we would drag and drop all commands or blocks. As you can see, when we click and drag our blocks back to the block palette, a delete icon would appear. Now in this part, we have the devices, sprites, and backgrounds. In here, sprites stand for the characters. But for the first step, let's change the background. So for our story, it would be a Filipino story of the ant and the grasshopper. So you can choose backgrounds from the collection. As you can see, upon choosing, the background of the stage also changes. For the sprites, let's choose one for the narrator. So in here, I'll be using Girl 5. Click OK, and then we are good to go. Now let's start doing our script. Under Events, get when flag is clicked. I always start with this one, so when the green flag in the stage area is clicked, the following set of commands would play. So moving on, let's go to the looks and choose Say Hello for 2 seconds. But instead of saying hello, we type here the dialogues of our sprite. Then let's change the number of seconds to 3 seconds. Then let us add another block like this and change the dialogue. Also, change the seconds. Then let's add another sprite for the ant. Go to the looks and just simply click hide and to hide the ant for the meantime. Then let's go back to the narrator and insert hide at the end of our script.
Okay, so that is how we can code the narrator. Now this time, let us code the character itself, which is the ant or the langgam.
So now we're done with the script for the narrator. Now let's do the script for the ant. Start by clicking the ant sprite here. So we can do the ant script. Let's go back to the first sprite first. In the narrator script, it takes 5 plus 5 plus 1 second before the narrator hides. Then let's remember this one as it is needed for the ant script. Now start again with the events. Get when the flag is clicked. Then go to controls, wait for, and then let's make it 12 seconds.
Since the end was hidden a while ago, go to Looks and add the show block. Then go to Looks and add Say Hello for 2 seconds. But change the hello to the story dialogue. Then change the number of seconds. Add another one block of this for another dialogue. Then change also the number of seconds. And here we go. So let's try playing if the command works. So the story says, one day there is one ant that is storing food. He had found out that a storm would come. Oh no, it looks like it would heavily rain. I need to be prepared. Okay, so that's how we create the story using mBlock. So for example, instead of asking the students to create a comic strip for an English or any language subject, at least in here, you have given them a more advanced platform. It is like hitting two birds with one stone. They learn how to code while doing their task or assigned task. I hope you can also apply this in your respective subjects.
Okay, so in this example, we have created an animated story, or yeah, an animated story of the ant and the grasshopper, and but in another context, if you're not an English teacher or a Filipino teacher or any language or reading teacher, you can also use MBlock in such a way wherein you can animate your lesson tutorial videos. Okay, for frontal discussions. Okay, so that's another example wherein you can use MBlock. Now, you might ask, I don't really like the look of the characters or the sprites. In here, it's called sprites. The characters, the backgrounds in MBlock, it kind of look more childish. I want to make it look more matured. So there's actually a part here wherein when you click background in here, when you click background and when you click sprites, and then when you click the plus sign, it will redirect you to the library wherein there's the collection of pictures or images. On top of that, you can see that there's an upload button or paint. So you can upload your own drawings or characters or backgrounds, or you can also paint from MBlock itself. You can also paint your own characters, or you can also paint your own backgrounds. Okay, so it's very easy. You can customize it any way you like. At the same time, um, you can see here devices. Okay, so we have here devices. MBlock is not just for coding. You can also connect it's for coding, but you can also connect hardwares, Arduino hardwares, um, and code those hardwares using MBlock. So it is connecting robotics and basic programming together. Okay, so that's the good part about using MBlock. So in here, in this activity that I have shown you, um, the example competencies that we have here for that activity are writing a simple story for English grade 2 and for Filipino. Okay, for those who are from the Philippines, nagagamit ang angkop ng mga salita at simbolo sa pagsulat ng script for Filipino. Now, with those competencies, the teacher can give instruction to the students wherein they would be asked to create a simple story and animate it using MBlock for English. And for Filipino, gumawa ng isang storya gamit ang iyong nilikhang script sa pamamagitan ng MBlock, bigyang buhay ang iyong script. Okay, so those are the two activities that you can do with this type of with MBlock. Okay, and Just like what I've said a while ago, we sometimes we traditionally we ask our students to do comic strips. So instead of doing the traditional comic strips, why not upgrade it? So you can ask your students to create animated stories instead, and using MBlock. Okay, so last one for M block. Now this time, I have seen a while ago that most of our audience are mathematics teachers. So this time, let's do a computational game using M block.
Okay, so another additional sample activity using MBlock. This time, we are going to create a computational game. So in here, the teacher can use MBlock for a lesson in mathematics. As you can see, our background is already set, and the sprite, we already have the teacher. Okay, so let's start with the events. Get when flag is clicked, then go to variables. So I have here two variables needed, the A and B. But for you to know how I created the variables, just click make a variable and then type in here A, then click OK. The same step for B. So what are these variables for? This would help in representing our chosen number. Moving on, when flag is clicked, set A to 0, then another one. Then go to operators and get pick random 1 to 10, but change 10 to 100. If your topic is adding numbers from 1 to 100. Then for the other block, set B to then get another pick random number from 1 to 100. Then after this one, the teacher will ask, go to sensing, get ask what's your name and wait. But change this to what is random number and get another random number. Then go to operators, get join apple and banana. Change apple to what is, then get another join. Go to variables and insert A. Then another join apple and banana, type plus, then get the variable B. So this is what the teacher would be asking. Now for the next step, go to control. Get the block if then else, then go to operators. Get apple contains A. So you can see the commands are in different shapes. The shape of this space is of a different shape, then it means your command is wrong. Then go to sensing, get the answer block, and insert it in our script. Then go to operators, get the addition block, and as you can see here, there's also a subtraction, multiplication, and division here. But for us, we will use the addition block. Then go to the variables, get A and get B. Then go to looks, get this block, and change hello to correct for 2 seconds. Else, get the same block and type try again. Let's see if this would work. So what is 23 plus 17? So let's type 40. Okay, so correct. Okay, so that's another activity, this time for mathematics. And for this activity, the target competency was illustrating addition as putting together or combining or joining sets. So this is for mathematics grade 1. Now in here, it's quite complicated for the students in grade 1 to do. So perhaps it's actually the teacher who will be doing that activity for a frontal discussion or like a quiz game for the students to answer. Okay, but in some cases, when I was a part of this project before for a non-government organization, and one of our activity is to teach students on how to do basic coding, such as what I'm doing right now, what I am showing right now. So we went to this school in Iloilo, wherein instead of the teacher doing that activity, the teacher asked her students to do or to create their own addition game, which is this one, addition game, and then get a partner, ask their partner to answer their addition game. And then the partner also, of course, would be doing the addition, his or her own addition game. And then they would be exchanging their games. And then the challenge is um, whoever can get the highest answer or highest score at a certain time will be the winner. Okay, so that's very good. That's very cool. The students were able to learn how to add in a fun way, and at the same time they were able to create their own games and ask their classmates to answer their games. Okay, so they were very engaged because that's something that is very different from the usual. So I am encouraging you, perhaps you can do it inside your classrooms. Okay. Now, here are some other sample outputs from my students before, but using other applications. So aside from Lightbot, Codable, and MBlock, you can also use Kodu Game Lab, and at the same time, the most famous, Minecraft. Okay, so Minecraft is also teaching students on how to do basic programming. So the first one, this one was created using Kodu Game Lab. So Kodu Game Lab is a tile-based software or basic programming software for children. Okay, so it's designed in a fun and interactive look and setup. Now in here, this is for science, grade 7, I think, and the topic is biotic and abiotic factors. So this is one of my students' outputs.
Let's take a tour around a coral reef ecosystem. Everything in an ecosystem contributes in helping it thrive. Yes, everything, even the rocks and the plant. Let's go through this ecosystem, find out more about these biotic and abiotic factors and how they contribute to the coral reef. Right now, we're on an island. Let's dive deep into the water. You can even see from a distance some clams, starfish, and seagrass. These are all examples of abiotic components in an ecosystem. Abiotic components are the living creatures in an ecosystem. Let's go nearer. Now, I said earlier that everything in an ecosystem helps it thrive. Well, starfish help the population in the coral reef sustain. They eat enough organisms like mussels. If there were no starfish, the mussels and other creatures that starfish eat could overflow a coral reef, causing the other animals to have trouble surviving.
Okay, so that's one example of an activity that you can do for Kodu Game Lab. And in here, the student designed the terrain and chose there's a collection of characters also here. This one, the robot is its name is Rover, but the robot cannot move without the student giving commands. Okay, so for the robot to move, the student should be able to program the robot in such a way that it can move based on his or her command. Okay, and the terrain also. So in here, the student talked about biotic and abiotic factors, which is their topic in science, and at the same time did basic programming. Now the next one is Minecraft. Okay, so we also use Minecraft for this time. The subject is Araling Panlipunan or Social Studies, and their topic is ancient civilization.
Ooh, that was a long ride. Well, I hope it's worth it. Hmm, that's a nice truck. The Syrian Empire History Dark Ride. Dark Ride that gives facts about the Syrian Empire. This was made for my school project in AP. And this ride gives information on their war tactics, way of ruling, architecture, and their culture of the Syrian Empire. Let's go up here so we can ride the ride. But first, here's the souvenir shop and the restrooms. Actually, I need to pee right now.
This
Huh,
child is very
weird. No
funny,
cashier.
but smart.
Oh, you ride that ride. I'm excited. Okay, let's just get in this boat. And we're off to go. The Syrian Empire was the first empire in the entire world. They were a Semitic speaking people, and they took advantage of iron tools. Neat. The Syrians ruled over Iran, Egypt, Mesopotamia, Syria, and Israel. They started to fall when there was internal strife and there was a revolution with the Chaldeans. And 7 years later, their territory was split into two. At the peak of their power, they were ruled by two kings. The two kings had the kingdom well organized. They had also built an efficient communication system. Using horses, messages could go to and from within a week. From experience, the Assyrians were very skilled in warfare. Hundreds and thousands of soldiers made up the army, specifically infantrymen, cavalry, and horse-drawn carriages. They were masters at guerrilla warfare and siege warfare. But we'll get that into the next topic. Well, let's go down. Wee! The battering ram, a famous siege warfare weapon, used extensively by the Assyrians. This was one of the mo- this was very useful. They would hammer the walls of cities and dig underneath to collapse the wall, allowing their troops to go in. Siege towers were proved to be very useful in this as well. The Assyrians were also masters at guerrilla warfare. They could fight in the mountains and in the plains of Mesopotamia. The Assyrians had also used terror and demoralization as a tactic in warfare to demoralize the enemy. This tactic is they would burn down towns and houses. This tactic was called scorched earth. They stole crops, money, loot, and anything they could find. They cut down trees, particularly fruit trees. They destroyed infrastructure in the villages that they conquered, and they basically laid waste to the lands that they conquered to instill fear into the enemies, who would be much easier to fight now that they've been scared. The Syrians had also guns. Then they would execute them. They also cut their tongues off for preparation of the next storm.
Okay, so that's another example of an activity created by the students, and this time that one was for Araling Panlipunan or social studies. Now, as you can see from there, it was very creatively done. So their task was to create a digital diorama. So traditionally, we ask our students to create dioramas, but this time because of the pandemic, they cannot go out, they cannot buy materials that they need for the diorama. So, another improvisation that we have thought is to ask them to use Minecraft. Okay, so this is another version of a digital diorama. Um, and as you can see, it kind of look like they have created their own virtual museums. So it's a very good activity for the students, and at the same time the research that they have done to create these digital museums, virtual museums, or digital dioramas. Okay, so that's it for my topic. I hope you have learned something new, and I hope I have encouraged you in some ways that to integrate basic coding skills in your respective subjects. And with that, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful presentation. I hope our participants learn something new from you because this is very nice presentation. Okay, ma'am. Now we are proceed to our quiz competition, and after that we come back again with our Q&A session. Okay, ma'am. Dear participants, now we are proceed to our quiz competition session. Today our quiz code is IGP. Let's be enjoy our quiz video. Dear participants, this is our quiz session time. You can join this session by slido.com. And today our quiz code is IGP. The code is IGP. You can join this session by slido.com, and you also scan our QR code from the screen to join this exciting live quiz session. And don't forget to mention your friends in the comment box to join this session. Top 10 quiz competition winners get their quiz certificate after this session from our official Facebook page. I request everyone to join with your full name, which will directly pin on your certificate. And top 10 quiz competition winners get their quiz certificate after this session. And after this live quiz session, we have question and answer session. And after that, we move to our certification process, and we start our quiz competition after 1 minute later. So join the hurry up. I remind you that there is no relation between quiz completion certificate and international webinar certificate. Let's we start our quiz competition now. So be ready. Our first question is, to make your Google site website unique and informative, you must know some basic coding. The statement is true or false. The statement is false. Our next question is, color coding may be explained by the trigonometric process and switches to the opponent process. The statement is true or false. The statement is true. Our next question is, the brain structure that is most responsible for integrity sensory information is thalamus or medulla. Option number 1, thalamus is the right answer. Our next question is, within shape coding, what shape holds modal and auxiliary verb? Is it oval or diamond? Option number 2, diamond is the right answer. Our next question is, integrating what's meaning and spelling activities in an intervention technique for metalinguistic knowledge or the literature lexicon. The literate lexicon. Metalinguistic knowledge is the right answer. Our next question is, Shape coding has moderate evidence as an intervention for scene development in children with knowledge impairment. The statement is true or false. Option number one, the statement is true. Our next question is the maximum max rate to begin in a medical exam, both for core and non-core subject, is 60 marks only. The statement is true or false. The statement is false. Our next question is select the basic psychological research subfields. Is it clinical, human factor, community, sports, school and health, or biological development, cognitive personality, social psychologist? Option number two, biological, developmental, cognitive, personality, and social psychologist is the right answer. Our second last question is for four basic bodily function are controlled in the dash nervous system. Is it reflex or autonomic? Option number two, autonomic is the right answer. Our last and final question is Google site allows you to provide your audience with an abundance of info by integrating other Google documents and tools. The statement is true or false. The statement is true. Congratulations of our top 10 quiz competition winners. Top 10 quiz competition winners get their quiz certificate after this session from our official Facebook page. Our official Facebook page address is Institute of Global Professionals. Thank you everyone for attending this session. Now we are proceed to our Q&A session. So let's enjoy this video. Dear participants, this is our Q&A session time. You can send your question in the comment box. If you have any question related to this topic, you can ask the question in the comment box. Our speaker ready to answer the question. After the Q&A, we have certification process.
Well, perhaps while waiting for those who would like to ask questions, can I share something?
Obviously, ma'am, you can share.
Okay, for those who are in the Philippines or even from the other countries, if you are interested, we actually have extension services or extension projects. We teach teachers on how to integrate basic coding skills in their respective subject areas. So, if you would like to connect with us or with our group, with our university, you can just search for me. I'm searchable in LinkedIn and at the same time in Facebook. So this is the same name that I have in LinkedIn and at the same time in Facebook. And or you can search for our university, Rizal Technological University. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I already post the link in the comment box. So participants are requested to ask their question in the comment box. If you have any question, you can ask the question in the comment box. We are still waiting for your question. Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope our participants has no question. They understand your lesson very clearly. Thank you, ma'am. And what is the last and final words for our participants?
Um, I just want to reiterate. I think it's about time for us to integrate basic coding skills to in our different subjects because this is the type of industry that we are currently and going to right now, and we need to prepare our students to the workplace of tomorrow or to the upcoming industry, the fifth industrial revolution. And with basic coding skills and knowing the principles behind it, it can better equip them with what they will be facing in the future. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Dear participants, today our program name is Non-ICT, Integrating Basic Coding in Non-ICT subject. And today our code is IGP 7654. The code is IGP 7654. Without code, no one is eligible for certificate. With code, you can claim your certificate anytime from our website. And without an account on our website, you can visit only, but you can do anything functional. So to download your certificate, we have to go to our website. Our website address is eduigp.com. After that, you have to create an account. Then you have to enroll the program, and you have to put the code, and the code is IGP 7654. After that, you can claim your e-certificate. After downloading your certificate, don't forget to celebrate with IGP second. Thank you everyone for attending this session. Before ending the program, I remind you again that you like our Facebook page and subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you everyone. Stay happy and stay safe.